So settling in and, just sitting in a way that feels comfortable, but with your back reasonably upright. It's usually best to try to, sit with a good posture without slouching too much, but with the shoulders relaxed, letting your hands and arms rest comfortably. And closing your eyes, or as usual, if you prefer, you could instead just half close your eyes, sort of gaze downward, just with an unfocused gaze. But usually having the eyes closed has an advantage that there's just less visual distraction. That being said, if you start feeling too sleepy during the meditation, you could open your eyes or partly open them, or sometimes it helps to just sit up straighter or even move forward in your chair a little so that you're supporting your own back and not leaning against anything. But adjusting your position now if you need to. Ultimately, you want to find a balance between comfort, but also feeling alert. Keeping in mind that the aim of this practice, like any mindfulness meditation, the aim is to be aware, to notice details, to be an observer, but to bring to that observation also the attitudes of openness, curiosity, non-judging, allowing things to be as they are. And I'll invite you to just bring your attention right now to the sensations of breathing. So you were already breathing. We're pretty well breathing all the time, 24/7. But we don't usually pay a lot of attention to it. Notice what it feels like to purposely shift your attention to your breath, to the sensations of breathing. You can notice if it's easy or difficult to do so, whether it's comfortable or uncomfortable. Notice if it triggers any reactions, for example, thoughts about your breathing or other thoughts. As best you can, just letting your breath happen. So without controlling it, just letting your breath settle into its natural rhythm. But feeling it through the whole cycle, breathing in and breathing out. The breath sort of comes and goes, kind of like a wave. Each cycle of breath, there's an in-breath and an out-breath. Notice that you can tell when you're breathing in and when you're breathing out. And you can tell by the sensations you feel in your body. You might notice sensations in many different places. You might feel your breath, for example, in your nose, just the sensations of the air flowing in and out of your nostrils. Or if you're not able to breathe through your nose, might feel similar sensations of airflow in and out of your mouth. Another place where you might feel your breath is in your chest. Just that kind of sensation of the rising and falling of your chest. The whole chest, the whole rib cage expands with each in-breath, which causes the lungs inside to expand. And just feeling what that's like. And as we focus on the breath, the aim is not to think about your breath, but just to feel it, experience it. But if thoughts do come up about your breath or about anything, just notice that those are thoughts. And then that's it. You don't have to push them away or hold on to them or do anything. Just recognize that your mind may produce all kinds of thoughts, sometimes nonstop. But notice how you can focus instead on your breath and let thoughts just be in the background. On the other hand, if you get carried away in your thoughts at any point, if you start getting lost in thinking and realize that you've lost connection with your breath, then just come back again. Come back to this breath right now. And then feel the next breath and the next. You might also feel your breath in your belly, just in the movement of the abdomen. The diaphragm, which is a muscle sort of inside, underneath your lungs. The diaphragm assists in our breathing, helps to inflate the lungs. And when we breathe in and the diaphragm contracts, it presses downward. And that often causes the abdomen to expand outward. You may or may not feel movement in that area, but just notice if you do. Notice if your belly does move in and out with your breath. Notice which direction your belly moves when you breathe in compared to when you breathe out. If you find that it's not easy to stay with your breath, that your mind wanders a lot, that you lose focus, that you get carried away in thoughts about various things, maybe remember that that's quite normal. Although if you start having thoughts about that, then just notice that those are thoughts too. It's not a problem if you sort of can't stay with your breath for long periods, because no matter how many times your mind wanders, each time is simply an opportunity to bring your attention back. If you're focusing on your breath and your mind wanders off 100 times, then it just means that 100 times you come back to your breath. Even mind wandering or other aspects of attention itself can be something for us to observe and notice details of. But for now, the main focus is just on breathing, the feeling, the sensation of breathing in and out. And while you're feeling the sensations of breathing, notice how there's other sensations, of course, happening all over the body. Maybe widen your field of awareness to include your whole body. Just experiencing your body as it is. All the different types of sensations and all the various locations. Notice how sensitive the skin is to detect touch, temperature, and other sensations. We have all sorts of nerve endings in the skin. That can be quite sensitive to all kinds of detail. You might feel different temperature sensations on different parts of your body. Maybe notice where the warmest spots are on your body and where the coolest spots are. You might feel touch with or pressure against your skin, places where your body is pressing against a chair or whatever you're resting on, or maybe even sensations of contact of your clothing against your skin. Of course, inside the body, you can feel all kinds of sensations in the muscles, and bones, and joints, various organs and tissues of the body. And there's other inner experiences, sort of sensory experiences that we can be aware of in our bodies, like hunger or fullness or thirst or fatigue or feeling energy, alertness or drowsiness. We can notice parts of the body that are comfortable and also areas where we feel some discomfort, which can, of course, range of many different types of discomfort, ranging from intense pain all the way down to just very slight discomfort. Just being with your body as it is, sort of laying out the welcome mat for whatever sensations, feelings in your body are coming up. Again, just being aware with that open, curious attitude. Noticing all the subtle details. There may be a lot of detail that we don't notice when we're not trying to pay attention. In fact, sometimes in the day, maybe a lot of the day, we can be out of touch with our bodies completely. And in addition to all these kinds of body sensations, we can notice other sort of sensory experiences, maybe specifically with the sensory experiences of hearing and sight and smell and taste. But let's just focus, perhaps now just focusing just on hearing. In other words, just notice that you are hearing sounds. Notice how many different sounds you can hear, even if you're sitting in a fairly quiet space. Just being open to the soundscape. Noticing how your ears are just receiving sounds pretty well constantly. And as you hear sounds, also notice if your mind sort of starts commenting on sounds or labeling them, having thoughts about them. And if that comes up, just notice that those are thoughts, but then leave the thoughts alone and go back to just listening. just by sort of stopping, pausing our usual doing of the day, we can notice all these details, different things going on inside us, different experiences we have. And one type of inner experience, of course, is that of having thoughts. You may have noticed all kinds of thoughts coming up already throughout the meditation. But maybe now shifting focus so thoughts themselves become the center of attention. Which really just means sitting, as we've been doing, but particularly noticing if or when any thoughts pop up. And just allowing them to come and go. So not holding on to them or pushing them away. You don't have to search for thoughts either. And also, as you notice thoughts that may come and go, try to sort of notice when you kind of get hooked by your thoughts, meaning you sort of get carried away in the stream of thinking, lost in thoughts. Usually while that's happening, we're not aware that we're thinking, we're just in the thinking. And notice those moments when you kind of step outside the stream again and notice how the stream of thoughts are going by. You might notice as well that as various thoughts pop up, that some thoughts may feel pleasant, some may feel unpleasant, and then all the rest are just neutral. In fact, everything we notice that we're experiencing could be classified as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, whether it's a sensation or a sound or whatever. And same with thoughts. If you find any thoughts are popping up that are unpleasant, one option is to notice at that moment when the unpleasant thought is there, to notice what you feel in your body, how you experience that thought and the emotions that go with it, how you experience it physically. Notice what you feel and where in your body. Might be some tightening or holding, or maybe even a change in your heart rate or breathing. And rather than get tangled up in the thought, or rather than trying to control it, an option is just notice how you experience that unpleasant thought in your body. And then wherever you notice you're feeling those sensations, just allow the sensations to be there, focus on them, maybe breathe into the area and breathe out from it, just allowing it to be as it is. And then you may notice sensations fading away or changing over time. And an option now, if you want to try this, is to, rather than wait for it, until an unpleasant thought comes up, is you could now purposely bring to mind something unpleasant, some difficult thought, or it could be an experience you've had that was upsetting, or something potentially coming up in the future that you're worried about. Could be just a specific unpleasant thought, or could be thoughts about some problem in your life. And since you can choose, then if something feels too intense to sort of sit with and work with, you could just choose a smaller thing. But if you choose some problem, some area of difficulty, when you bring it to mind, instead of thinking about it, which is often our default to sort of analyze and problem solve and think about problems, instead, go into your body and notice what you're feeling and where related to this sort of difficulty. If the whole thing fades away, you could bring the area of difficulty back to mind and again, explore the area of your body where you feel the sensations. Notice if there's maybe some tightening somewhere, or holding or bracing, or feeling of tension, or there might be butterflies in the stomach, or change in your breathing or heart rate. And notice what happens if you're just an observer without trying to control it. There's always an option if you want to just pick a different area of difficulty and work with it in the same way. Or there's always the option of leaving all of this alone and maybe just go back to your breath for a bit. Maybe bring to mind something that you struggle with, or some situation that causes you stress or anxiety. And again, if you do so, notice what it brings up in your body. Notice what sensations it brings up and where you feel them. And as you bring awareness to your body, the aim is again just to be open and curious, to allow things to be as they are, to step back from all of it and be an observer. And maybe now just coming back to your breath. If you haven't done so already, just back to your belly or chest or wherever you prefer to feel your breath. And just keeping your breath as center stage for just for the next couple of minutes. Feeling each in-breath and each out-breath. So letting the breath happen and noticing how along with the sensations of breathing, all these other experiences are still happening. You're still hearing sounds, still having different thoughts and feelings come and go, and all kinds of other experiences. Maybe see if you can lay out the welcome mat for all of it. And notice how each moment is different. all these different experiences changing, coming and going. But notice that through all that changing experience, there's a part of you, this part of you that can observe it. The observer of you is just always there. Just letting each moment unfold. Experiencing whatever does come up. Being aware from this perspective of an observer. And just staying as an observer like this, just a little bit longer until you hear the bell ring. And even then, continuing to observe, to be aware, even after the meditation ends, perhaps even through the rest of your day today.